Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Forbes India D2C LevelUp Conclave, presented by DTDC. And now, please put your hands together to welcome our host, Ridhima Bhatnagar.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Let's get some energy in the room. Good evening, Delhi. Okay, lovely. That's really good to see each one of you. Let me officially welcome each one of you, all our visionaries, our lovely guests, and to each one of you who took out the time to join us this evening. Welcome to the Forbes India D2C LevelUp Conclave presented by DTDC. I'm Ridhima Bhatnagar, and I'm so thrilled to be seeing each one of you, a full house. That gives me a lot of happiness and optimism of what we plan to achieve this evening. Today, we've all gathered at a pivotal moment for the direct-to-consumer landscape in the country. And just going by the energy in the room, which I must say is extremely palpable, it is really that one kind of possessed by those who know they're shaping the future, which means the visionaries. You would all agree with me when I say the D2C sector in the country is no longer just an emerging frontier. It is in fact a thriving ecosystem rewriting the rules of retail. You would also all agree with me when I say that brands today are not just merely selling their products, but they're also cultivating relationships, curating a lot of experiences, and building communities. As India's D2C market now hurtles towards a projected $60 billion valuation, and this is by 2027, the questions that we must ask are very, very pertinent. And one of them is, how can we scale smarter? The other question is, how can we personalize better? And also the most important one, how do we deliver faster? And these are exactly some of the questions that we'll try and get some answers and solutions to this evening. This evening, ladies and gentlemen, we'll also hear from leaders who've mastered the art of balancing innovation with also a lot of efficiency, and they've also managed to leverage technology as well. And that's exactly something that we'll be hearing once again from these visionaries, because they have had a lot of personal experience, they've studied the market as well, and they of course will help us understand what the retail journey looks like to merge the physical with the digital to meet consumers wherever they are from. From the reinvention of logistics that powers rapid delivery to the strategic integration of data as well as emerging tech like artificial intelligence to tailor customer experiences. You would all agree that every insight that will be shared today, every conversation that we'll have today will be aimed at helping each one of you unlock smarter growth, deeper connections, and greater customer loyalty. But I have to tell you a very interesting fact. This event is not just about ideas, it's about action as well. And that's exactly what our conversations and discussions today will focus on. How they will reveal how brands are building the ecosystems to meet evolving customer expectations. We will also learn and hear how industry leaders are driving this change. They're reimagining operations, and most importantly, they're also rethinking traditional boundaries to create retail experiences that are faster, smarter, and more immersive than ever before. So I have to say this, ladies and gentlemen, that this gathering is a rare convergence of minds, ideas, and ambition. We're joined today by those who've turned startups into standard bearers, ideas into institutions. You'll also rub shoulders with leaders who forged new paths and redefined categories, visionaries whose insights are not just theories, but testaments of what really is possible. Thoughts that will emerge today could be the catalyst that propels your brand to much greater and newer heights. The conversations you strike could unlock partnerships that redefine your growth story. So as we begin, I want to make a humble request to each one of you, and that is to engage with us, to embrace all the fresh perspectives that you will get, but most importantly, ask the hard questions as well, and also envision the boundless possibilities that lie ahead in front of each one of us. Because the future of D2C isn't just unfolding, It's in fact being built right here by each and every one of you. So let me officially welcome each one of you as we get set to kickstart this evening. Can I request a huge round of applause as we get some energy in the room and also we get ready to kickstart this evening. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, they usually say, let's get down to the brass tacks, so shall we? We're all set to kickstart this evening on a very, very inspiring note. We're glad to have with us Ajay Sukhwani, Integrated E-Commerce Head at DTDC, with us today to show us how speed can meet customer satisfaction at scale with a keynote address that's very, very aptly themed, the future of D2C, logistics, speed, scale, and consumer delight. Let's have a huge round of applause as we welcome him on stage, please.
Thank you for such a warm welcome. Good evening, Delhi. It's an absolute honor and privilege to welcome all of you, some of the brightest minds, at Forbes India D2C LevelUp Conclave presented by DTDC. Please look around you. The room is filled with the great minds, innovators, business leaders, CEOs, who are redefining the way businesses are to be done in India. Tonight, we are here to discuss about what does it take for a brand not just to grow, but being unstoppable when it comes to scale, when it comes to speed, when it comes to sustainability. Let me take you somewhere. Let's picture this. You have created a brand, a product, a company, something which is very incredible, something which has not only filled a gap in the market, but has also really created excitement. Your customers simply loves you. They are finding you on Instagram, they are finding you on your website, they are finding you almost everywhere. You started with few orders, scaled up to 100. That's where now you have started thinking about scale. You have started thinking about how to take a next big leap. Then hits you the harsh reality. Logistics, fulfillment, customer expectations. All of this are evolving at a much faster pace than we all can adapt to. Some of you are wondering how to deliver faster. Some of you are wondering how to deliver smarter. But all of you are thinking one thing which is very common in all of you, how to make logistics a biggest competitive advantage instead of treating that as a challenge. Here comes the opportunity within that challenge. People who are successful, the brands who are successful have figured out how to deliver smarter, how to deliver at a right speed, at the same time how to achieve the customer delight. Now let's talk about the speed. Somewhere along the way we started wondering that we need everything in 10 minutes. Quick commerce is the new norm. Do we really? Yes, maybe for some categories, but for most, it's about long game. It's about sustainability. It's about getting right fulfillment model which suits your business, which suits your customer needs, which suits your product market fit. Let's also talk about the scale. Managing the multiple sales channels in e-commerce is no longer a luxury. It's a necessity. You may want to list on marketplace. You may want to list on your own .com. You may want to sell through omni-channel strategies. Each of them have got their own nuances, own complexities. May require a different fulfillment strategy. Listing on the marketplace will have one way of fulfilling the order. Selling to your customers directly may need a different fulfillment strategy. Omni-channel may require a third fulfillment strategy. All of them are evolving, challenging, but within this challenge, again, there is an opportunity. Think about a way when you have got a method, a strategy where you can, fulfill your order across the sales channels through one single platform. While doing that, you also have a luxury of growing your business sustainably, controlling your costs, at the same time retaining control over the customer experience. This is all possible only when you have a right partner with you, only when you have a right solutioning approach, you have a right understanding of your business, and you also know what do you need when it comes to achieving a customer delight through a right fulfillment and logistics strategy. The idea and objective for all the brand owners, innovators, business leaders like you should be that you should be focusing on the core, which is developing a product, getting a right product, creating disruptions into the market. You should leave delivery, fulfillment, and customer expectations on the experts. Over the course of this conclave, many of the leaders are going to talk about artificial intelligence. They are going to talk about rapid commerce strategies. They are going to talk about customer-first logistics. Our CEO will talk about the nuances of rapid commerce during a fireside chat. While you all explore, you all continue to debate and figure out the right fulfillment and right methodology of delivering delivering to your customer at the right speed, at the right cost, without compromising on the expectations. We, along the course of the conclave, will be, will be there at the booth, will be willing to have a conversations, would want to explore how can we mutually figure out a method, fulfillment strategy, which will be beneficial to you and will help you growing your business at a scale, at the same time focusing on your product, which is your core, and also focusing to grow your business sustainably, without compromising on the profitability. So let's get started. Let's level up. Welcome to an evening of possibilities. And it's an absolute honor and pleasure to host you all at this summit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that was the perfect context for us to really kickstart this evening, for us to also have an overview of what we planned to achieve. And I think some of the themes that have been very, very rightfully highlighted or what we plan to achieve in our conversations as well. So let me get straight to it then. Developing a rapid commerce ecosystem is really the next big step for D2C brands looking to deliver speed, scale, but most importantly, customer loyalty as well. Now, this idea will form the crux of our first fireside chat of the evening, which is very aptly themed, From Convenience to Control, why D2C brands should build their own rapid commerce ecosystem. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, I in fact will be stepping into the role of the moderator for this insightful session. So I'm going to move my position from the podium to the center of the stage as I take the opportunity to invite our lovely speakers on stage. With a huge round of applause, join me in welcoming Abhishek Chakrabarti, CEO at DTDC Express Limited. Abhishek, good to have you with us. Welcome. Join me in also welcoming Akriti Rawal, founder House of Chicken Curry, who in fact will be helping us understand the brand perspective on this conversation. Good to have you with us, please. Thank you, firstly, for taking our time and joining us. And it's so good to see a full house, as I said, so that makes me very optimistic of what all we can achieve. But as I said, we have a pioneer in the logistics sector, and we have a brand that is acing almost everything. So let's begin from a brand perspective first. We're talking at a time when the digital landscape, the ecosystem of D2DC in India is evolving, and it's evolving at a much faster pace, right? If I begin with your brand, House of Chicken Curry, today what you see is what you sell, right? Is what many would believe. I don't know if you agree with that, but you were also one of the brands that were featured on Shark Tank, right? Many would say that gives you instant, maybe fame, a lot of customers, a lot of penetration overnight. But I also want to understand, with that fame, I'm sure comes a lot of responsibility, which is, if I start getting the kind of inquiries and orders, do I have the infrastructure to deal with it? And also, do I have the kind of people to deal with it? So I want to first understand how that experience happens overnight. Is it overwhelming?
Hi everyone. Hello. Thank you for having me. And I'm really happy to be here and excited to learn from all of you as well. So very interesting question actually, because I think operations was the toughest part for us when our episode aired on Shark Tank. This was 2 years back almost, so Jan 23. And I don't think we were prepared for it. My mother and I co-founded the business House of Chicken Curry in 2020. We primarily deal in ethnic wear garments, ethnic wear, women's wear, also some fusion wear with chicken curry embroidery, which is the authentic handicraft that comes from Lucknow. And we're trying to modernize it. We're trying to make it a part of everyday wear and everyone's everyday life. So it is a handcrafted product, and it is also a very contradictory, I would say, product to what the fast like I would say fast shipping and delivery timelines and everything that we see, but we're, I think, really trying to find the blend here and trying to figure out how we use data better and our internal, I would say, systems better to blend the both, a traditional handicraft and the modern requirement of, what the customers want with delivery. So coming to the Shark Tank question, I think prior to Shark Tank, honestly, we were at a fairly decent scale. But the team, like a lot of the things were not organized within. Like a lot of our logistics, order fulfillment, our websites made on Shopify. So we had some Shopify plugins we were doing on those. We had like very basic level stuff. A lot of labels were also printed by me and my team. So it was quite unorganized, honestly. Prior to Shark Tank, because we realized, even though we do get that uptick of sales for, say, the next 1 month, and then obviously it normalizes, and then you have to maintain your intention and figure out how you're going to retain those sales over time. That taught us and gave us a very good lesson that we need to optimize for our backend, optimize for our fulfillment, have a lot more control on the process. So that was, I would say, not the best time for us to handle our operations, but it taught us a lot on how we would deal with things when we do scale to that number, consistently. So we used that time, we used that lesson, we partnered with Unicommerce, so our order fulfillment happens there. So warehousing and our packaging was always happening in our own warehouse. Packaging, I would say, in our experience, as from a brand perspective, having it in our control and having the uniqueness in our packaging, the little freebies that we would give, or how we would like revamp it for every occasion. Say if it's Diwali, we would tweak the packaging a bit. That has been a really strong, I would say, point for us. Even in most of our reviews, packaging is something that customers are always praising. So I think that part of fulfillment, having it in our control since day one and not outsourcing it or having a 3PL partner, doing the logistics, has been an advantage. There have been times where we've considered partnering with people where we could like stock up our best sellers for maybe better delivery times and stuff. But I think packaging has been a very core thing that we have controlled in our business, and that has been one of the most positive reasons for people to give word of mouth. And then Unicommerce, we have like now partnered with them. Packaging and warehousing is completely under our control. It gives us better control on our inventory alignment, understanding what inventory is moving, what we need to stock better. It helps us give packaging control as well. So we're shipping through third-party logistics partners, of course, and that part is something which is outsourced. But yeah, that's pretty much a brief about the
you've
journey
covered
we've
quite
had.
a few points that I will get into in detail. But for those of you who are not aware with what House of Chicken Curry does, I can say this in one sentence, that it's a brand that really blends traditional craftsmanship with a lot of modernity in what you plan to achieve and what you want to give to your consumers as well. But Akriti, I want to go back to that episode when it was aired before I go to Abhishek, because that's a larger question that I want to ask as far as a logistic partner service provider. I want to ask you if you could just give us some numbers before that episode and overnight, how many numbers, and what was your biggest hurdle that night?
So prior to Shark Tank, we were at a monthly run rate of about 1 crore net sales. That month when the episode aired, I think we did our highest highest at that time, somewhere around 2.5 net monthly run rate. And it was Jan, so it's not peak season for us. So we went like 2x, 3x in an off-peak month with no inventory planned, with no idea. And you get to know that your episode is going to air also 2 days before. So there's no way you can also prepare inventory or operationally. We didn't have the team ready to handle those operations. So, we managed. We did have, I think everyone was like, my mom and I probably didn't sleep the next 3-4 days fulfilling those orders with our team. But it's something that happens with everyone probably whose episode airs. And if you're not at that scale, if we're also like at a 1 crore monthly run rate, we're not prepared with a very higher management team that's built the processes. We're still functioning with operational team, which is at a junior level. So we're still like kind of managing the operations ourselves. And after that, it's been 2.5 was the basically new benchmark that then we had to meet and continue growing from.
Sure. So the reason I asked you this is because, Abhishek, I want to get you now in the conversation, and thank you for patiently waiting. This is, I'm sure, not a story alone for House of Chicken Curry. This is a story for many brands, right? A lot of brands that I speak to say that we see this overnight success, which is great for them because it's visibility, right? They get to understand a target audience, we get visibility, as I said, and many of them convert into orders as well. But what many don't see is what happens behind the scenes to ensure those orders, in fact, reach the consumers or where it's supposed to reach. And that's where players like you are. That's why I said when I introduced you, literally a pioneer in the logistics sector. So help me understand what are some of the fundamental issues or roadblocks that you see with brands when an episode like this happens. And that's when people like you come in, and what is the kind of immediate steps that are required to overcome these challenges? Because what we need to understand is when a situation like this is happening, there's not much time to turn around things. As she said, it was all hands on deck, family members come in, friends come in. But from a long-term perspective, what are some of the issues that you can keep in mind to have immediate solutions?
Ridhima, thank you so much for that question. First of all, seeing this full house here on behalf of DTDC, thank you to everyone for making it here. And on a lighter note, Akriti, I can go back home tomorrow and tell my wife that, the Instagram page that you've been scrolling so frequently, I know the people behind it. So congratulations to you for the wonderful success that you've achieved. Fantastic brand. Ridhima, I think a lot of the clue or I think the way to answer that question probably stems from what Akriti said. When you start something new, there is that euphoria, there is the excitement. But very soon, the pressure of having to live up to that expectation really starts catching up. And logistics is nothing but that point in time when you realize that now this is beyond my physical and human ability to do this all on my own, right? If you look at India's e-commerce journey, the big marketplaces might have been the ones that made e-commerce get into everybody's households. But it is the D2C brands, especially in the post-COVID era, that have made e-commerce sustainable and successful. And whatever stories we will hear and talk about today, the most critical point I feel for all brands that are starting their journey, getting that initial hype phase successfully covered, is how do we make this scalable? Yeah. And I want to add the dimension that the definition of scalability itself is changing very rapidly. Coincidentally, the word rapid commerce will come in because 24 months ago, the big buzzword that D2C brands were talking to us about, can you get me delivery in 2 days? Because I am tired of this 5-day, 6-day promise that everybody else is offering. Yeah. And we as logisticians felt, wow, that's very doable. Let's make it happen. Yeah. Today, whether it's a conversation of minutes or a half an hour or a couple of hours or even next day or same day. So imagine for a D2C brand that started 2 years ago or 3 years ago or a new D2C brand that's coming in now. Yeah. They do not have the luxury to say that I'll wing it. Yes, the initial hype phase, everyone does it from the garage or from their back doors and that's how all startups have scaled. But to me, the key for logistics, what I've seen with D2C brands, as they try to answer the question of scaling up is, number one, who is going to be having your back, especially when your processes need to modify according to the nature of your demand. If you heard the keynote message that Ajay was trying to give, depending on the category, of course, I know in House of Chicken Curry is not necessarily a mass-produced, mass-scale product. It's a very, specific product with high quality and precision. But more or less, every brand at some point will get certain staples. And once you start entering into staples, for which your consumers will tell you, I'd like to have this almost every other month, then you'll start having those choices. How much do I stock? Where do I stock? At what pace do I fulfill it? Correct. The biggest challenge that comes for a new brand is, how will I predict where the orders are going to come from? Correct. How much inventory do I need to keep in the big cities versus I keep in the tier 2? And I feel where supply chain players and players like DTDC that have actually seen this firsthand, and by the way, I would be very wrong to claim that we were some geniuses who had it all figured out. It is our customers and us working together who together also failed and went through the journey together that learned it the right way. And that's where when we built our entire supply chain architecture, especially keeping quick commerce and rapid commerce in mind, we believe the key here for brands would be try to find a model where you don't need to over-proliferate your inventory. The top 10 cities of India still are providing a massive amount of demand, especially for new high quality, high value products. But as you see the pattern emerging across other similar categories, we as logistics players now have enough data that we've now built in which can tell you that if you want to scale up and you want to approach your coming seasons, this is the order in which if you were to place your inventory with us, we could help you very easily within a fairly flexible time window, allow you to scale up and down the supply chain. So I think this ability to scale, ability to not have to commit excessive inventory across the country and yet meet that consumer demand, I think that is one of the keys that has to be established for any upcoming D2C
So I think,
brand.
Abhishek, you very rightly touched upon 2-3 issues that I want to understand from a brand perspective again. One, as Abhishek is rightly pointing out, how do you get that number in your head that where am I going to get these orders from? How much inventory do I keep? But the other aspect of it also is, and this is something of course needs a larger conversation, which is the quick timelines that the customer is expecting today as well, right? 5 years ago, if we were having this conversation, we would be okay maybe waiting even a month for an order. Then we move to certain days. Now we're getting things within minutes, right? So you don't know where this is going to go next because our patience level, our delivery timeline expectation has all come down, right? Which puts a lot of pressure, not just on brands, but on logistic partners as well. So I want to first understand on the delivery timelines because, Abhishek will be able to tell us a lot more as far as last mile delivery is concerned. So I want to understand how much of a concern is that? What is the kind of pattern that you're seeing from customers also, and then incorporating that in your brand strategy?
So, of course, the most direct correlation is the longer you take, the more RTOs you have. Right, so that is the one number, like the metric that we're tracking weekly, monthly. Of course, seeing that that's within the defined range for us. And what we've done from our end and what we track internally is the order fulfillment time, like from order to dispatch, that time is in our hands, right? Last mile, it obviously depends on the partner we're partnered with. We also ship internationally, so tax differ there and domestically. But what we really track and focus on, like before I built a supply chain team and when the operations were very, I would say, foundation, basic level, right? With just a few people in my team, our internal inefficiencies were so high that we were taking from order to dispatch, say 48 hours to deliver, to give it to our logistics partner for last mile delivery also. So that we've really worked on, that we've built efficiencies in, and we've realized that this is the time which is in our control as a brand before, the couriers get handed over by us to the partner. So that's one metric that we really track. Order dispatch to, order placed to dispatch timeline within the internal team. That's something that helped us a lot. And obviously, the partner you have for your delivery is express, same day. It differs. Some partners are really good with certain geographies, so certain geographies are only shipped with those partners. Those decisions are more data-backed with partners we've worked with orders we get, and then we analyze how long it's taken. And that also then obviously helps you keep that RTO number, especially domestically, in line.
But Akriti, I want to ask you just a lead up from this, which is that when we speak about consumers or customers asking in a particular timeline, the fear is one, that if I don't give it, will they shift to another brand because there are so many options today? The other also is, I want to understand again from a consumer perspective, have you also seen consumers who've once seen the brand, seen the quality, seen the product, being okay having longer delivery timelines as well? Is it both?
I think it's really, honestly, season dependent. Because we're in ethnic wear, a lot of festivals, Rakhi becomes very last minute driven. So I think those certain important dates become very important for us, like being in ethnic wear and women's wear. But other than that, because we're primarily in an everyday wear category, we don't see it being a deal breaker. But of course, the interest, or if your delivery times are longer and your competitor comes and shows an ad and that's cheaper, which can happen, you might get an RTO. So it impacts indirectly, which we may not see. Someone may not come and give us that feedback, but we could see a metric moving up and down, and we could work on improving that.
Correct. Abhishek, this is what I want to bring you in. Last mile delivery is something that you've worked with immensely with brands and have aced it in a while. But help me understand, what are still some of the roadblocks and hurdles that you also help navigate the brands that you work with? Because as Akriti was rightly pointing out, there's only that much that a brand can do. The other end of the spectrum and the other half of the journey is the partners you partner with. So if there are shortfalls there, whatever the brand is doing, at the end of the day, there will be some shortfalls and lag. By the end, it reaches the consumer.
No, I think Akriti's mentioned it very correctly. Seasonality, of course, plays a huge part in deciding how fast and how well you want to serve your customers. But learning the hard way, I can tell you that the entire activity plan needs to happen one step before. I think we need to start thinking about right from where your inventory is. She rightly pointed out the time that it takes from an order placement to an order dispatch. But most of the time when we were struggling with our customers in the earlier stages was the shippers, the brands, felt that irrespective of whichever location I was placed out of, it's possibly easy to reach any part of India at a very standardized and a predictable timeline. When we work with most of our brands, especially as we are looking at our rapid commerce capabilities, we realized we are now planning one level ahead. We are saying, let's look at what is the optimal place depending on the category, depending on the product, where an inventory should be placed. So for example, in our Mumbai regional delivery center that we have, that is in Bhiwandi, which is just an outskirt of Mumbai city, if you were to place your inventory with us, we can guarantee you in less than 90 minutes from an order placement, your material would be in a truck, not only ready to go out for delivery to the entire state of Maharashtra, to the West Zone as they call it, but also it will be on its way to have a 2 to 4 hour delivery in the metropolitan city of Mumbai. Now imagine a brand that had this flexibility that I don't need to replicate my inventory. I keep that one SKU in that one shelf, and irrespective of whichever order comes and whatever be the demand, I can now have that flexibility. So imagine brands now being able to say that in off-season, I don't want the craze of 10-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute. I want it comfortably in your regional DCs and have a normal, good 1-day, 2-day delivery. Yeah. But the moment season is kicking in, I start pushing inventory closer to the customer, which is what we do now through our rapid commerce dark stores, that guarantee that once you have your inventory in those centers, because again, they're blended with our last mile centers in a 2 to 4 hour time period, which is, I think, the sweet spot where most brands ultimately would like to settle, you can serve that demand and not lose customers. And just to add a data point, Akriti referenced that the biggest panic attack that brands get is what is that RTO percentage? You're judged. And if you're raising your next round of funding from a VC, they ask you, it's not your GMV, it's not your ARR, I want to know what's your RTO percentage. Just a data point that we've seen in our analysis now, in a 2 to 4 hour window, the RTO percentages are ranking at lower than 1%. Okay. Whereas in a traditional 2 to 3 day delivery, it can move anywhere between 10 to 13%. Now imagine 12% more orders getting fulfilled. And with what we are seeing with the consumers today, they're willing to pay that extra little bit, that sweet spot to get this assurance. So happy consumer and happy shipper.
Works well for both parties. But actually, just taking on from what Abhishek is saying, is the other aspect that I want to discuss is this entire idea of outsourcing your logistics and having warehouses, dark warehouses, so on and so forth. And we've seen many brands take that route. Is that the way forward for D2C brands now?
I mean, at scale, honestly, yes. Because I think just your challenges keep changing with every scale, right? So it may not be something we're considering today, but what the goal of a founder and a company or any D2C brand is to continuously improve the experience. And every day you've solved one problem, you'll think what next? And this is one of the bigger challenges for any founder or any brand to solve, where how do we get the products quicker to the customer? Even quick commerce, even though fashion is not something which entered quick commerce right now, we're not seeing it at scale, but it's a matter of time, I feel. We will see brands. Fab India, Maneva did list on, I think, Blinkit through the festive season, but it's not as big as the other categories are on quick commerce. But I think it's a matter of time, because convenience is something that all customers are looking for. And if this is eventually what leads and adds to the customer experience, it's, I think, a natural route to take for each brand after a certain scale. Because what next? What problem do you solve next for the customer? And I think this is one of the very major problems for any D2C brand to cater to.
Abhishek, would you agree with Akriti? Is outsourcing warehouses and logistics really the next way as far as scaling up for D2C brands? Is it something that you're seeing a lot of brands now integrate as part of their strategy?
See, I think outsourcing in any industry, as Akriti rightly said in our first question, if you believe that uniqueness of packaging, for example, is what makes House of Chicken Curry stand out, then I would always agree with her, do not outsource on that. But for everything else, where scale is important, but the customization is not necessarily the key to success, you should look for outsourcing, right? And my way to respond to that question is, I tell brands, don't look at quick commerce and rapid commerce and something else. Look at commerce. Work with companies that can give you a solution that can scale with you along the entire journey so that you as a brand are not having to make those tough choices. When you need rapid commerce, we will get you rapid commerce. If you ever do feel the need for quick commerce, there are solutions available for that as well. But you don't need to get married to only one stack. You need to have the option to have the most necessary critical differentiating elements in your control. But for everything else, players like us and the ecosystems that we bring together with us can give you that scalability so that you don't have to worry and always have this panic. You can be cool and calm and build out your business. Of course, you will be the one leading it. You will be the one making the right choices. And as Ajay said, a founder's mind should be spent on product. Logistics, supply chain, back-end activities is not innovation. It's been done to death. You focus on your product, and it's our duty, our job to help you out solving that entire ecosystem issue for you.
Right. The other aspect, of course, I want to understand is the integration of new technology. There is, of course, artificial intelligence. You have a SaaS-enabled platform as well. I want to understand how is that adoption happening? How is it helping you identify your immediate roadblocks, your immediate hurdles, and what is the kind of streamlining that you're seeing post that as well?
Biggest advantage right now is using it for inventory forecasting. I don't know if it's there yet. Also, we're internally building the teams, building the processes ourselves right now. But it's definitely in terms of forecasting and streamlining the whole process of, say, replenishment of a PO to, AI forecasting that data for you and then getting those orders placed without manual intervention is the whole loop that we're also now trying to fix. We're in the process. So all those things definitely help you optimize for inventory, right? And for all the processes that will help you scale and remove the manual effort that goes into it. But yeah, I mean, we're still in the process. I wouldn't say we're there yet. So happy to hear any thoughts you have.
So Abhishek, I just wanted to understand, one of course is the kind of forecasting that Akriti is talking about, but of course the integration of emerging tech like artificial intelligence is not just from a brand perspective to streamline their issues, but also to streamline the customer experience and customer expectations as well, right? So I just want to understand, how are you seeing brands integrate emerging technology, and how as a logistical service provider, etc., are you also using technology to streamline these issues for brands? Because it works both ways.
I think artificial intelligence, machine learning, both are playing a huge role on two sides. One is on the inventory side, because we are working very closely with some of our brands to help them map out and chart what could be the predictive model that could tell you the possible overruns or shortages that you might face according to the different markets. But probably the most interesting technology piece which we've built in, it's a proprietary intelligence tool we've built on AI called Hexagrid. Now, Hexagrid is an application that is allowing us to work with our brands to map out cities at the level of not just pin codes, but at a granular 6x6 square feet area, which allows you to now map out and say that if you can tell me what is the amount of volume that you want to do in a certain city, what is just the right size of dark store footprint that you might need to create in order to meet every single order in a 2 to 4 hour window. Okay. Because one of our goals is, if you as a brand know you have a certain amount of demand, we don't want you to unnecessarily put your inventory in 10 dark stores just because I have created 10 dark stores. Sure. If you need 3, this data science will tell you that 3 is enough to meet 85 to 90% of your use case. For the 10% fungibility, we have enough capacity to help you scale up or down. So absolutely, artificial intelligence is playing a big role. Hexagrid is a proprietary technology we built on artificial intelligence, which is helping us work with brands and help design this orchestration for them.
It's good to hear that optimistic note around emerging technology. Unfortunately, I will have to start winding up because I have to keep the show running as well. But Akriti, I will ask you from a brand perspective. We're talking at a time when delivery timelines are getting crunched, customer expectations are going higher, there's also competition in the market. What is that one trend that you see dominating for the D2C landscape in India, let's say for 2025?
In terms of logistics?
Logistics,
only?
yes.
it's quicker deliveries, like same day deliveries. I think for clothing, I think that's something that as a growing brand we're still figuring out, because there's a lot of inventory requirement, as he said, like mapping out how much inventory, where to go, and how you minimize that inventory over pin codes or locations is what the goal is, right? As you try to solve for that. It's quicker deliveries for sure. Because I think we're seeing it across all categories, but clothing will eventually catch on, and that's something that the customer needs.
Don't know where that is headed. But Abhishek, I'm going to ask you a little more personal question as I wrap the conversation, because you're also the CEO, so you have a leader role, and also you're dealing with a lot of different partners as well. So I want to understand, when you don the CEO's hat, what is that one strategy that you see maybe wanting to implement going forward to try and streamline the brand experience with their logistical partners?
See, I think, the theme of the evening, and therefore the conversation, I guess, everyone wants speed. We want it all faster, and I, as a consumer, I can say that I want it faster. So I know, as a CEO of a business which is supposed to serve those consumers, needs to do it faster. But I think my closing point would be, speed is important, but not at the cost of sustainability. And I think that is the mid-path and choice. The big marketplaces and these fantastic brands that are doing 5-minute, 10-minute can have a different goal. But if you're a hardcore, grassroots, homegrown D2C brand, you want speed, but marry it with sustainability at a very early stage. That will be the key to success.
I think that's very well said, that you also need to know what your own brand ethos are, what you represent, and if you can manage that with sustainability, then we have a happy marriage, I must say. Unfortunately, I will have to wrap that conversation there. Can we have a huge round of applause as we thank our lovely speakers, Abhishek and Akriti. Thank you so much for taking out the time, and I really hope that this was helpful to many brands. Our lovely photographer wants a picture, so we'll get together to give them a picture, please. Thank you once again. Thank you so much. Did you all enjoy the discussion? Can I get a show of hands? Oh, that's even better. Thank you so much. But ladies and gentlemen, that was really just one part of the conversation that we wanted to get to you, which was what is happening as part of scaling up is happening, what is happening as far as warehouse inventory management is happening. And it's so fascinating to hear both perspectives, right, from the brand as well as the service providers. But let's now move on to our next conversation, which also promises to be insightful and riveting. Navigating retail's new frontier demands seamless integration of both channels, which is online as well as offline. And that's why our next panel discussion will bring together visionaries from some of the most progressive consumer brands in the country, and we will all come together to discuss the topic, omni-channel commerce, bridging online and offline for seamless experiences. Once again, I will have to walk to the center of the stage to introduce our lovely speakers. So join me in welcoming our lovely speakers with a huge round of applause. Join me in welcoming Arpita C. Mitra, Director Customer Experience, DTDC Express Limited. Arpita, good to have you with us. Thank you for taking our time. Join me in also welcoming Apeksha Gupta, CEO and co-founder, John Jacobs Lenskart. Good to have you with us. Join me in also welcoming Siddhant Keshwani, founder at Libas. Good to have you with us. Bharat Sethi, founder, Rage Coffee, is also joining us on this lovely panel. Good to have you with us. And Sameer Rajani, founder of Deodap, is also joining us. So we have a full panel. Good to have each one of you to take out the time and join us. All settled? Yes, good. So before I get talking about how our brands integrating online, offline, some of your brands started online but have moved to offline. If you, all of you could just take a minute to talk about your brand, so that if there are people who don't know about what your brand is doing, it'll give them some context of what you're trying to do. So we'll just have a quick introduction with all of you, just introducing what your brand is doing. We'll start with you, please.
Sure. So I'm the founder of Rage Coffee. Rage Coffee is essentially a packaged coffee business that does everything in soluble and ground coffee and all formats of coffee. We supply currently to about 3,000 directly 3,000 restaurants, hotels, cafes. We have our own branded range of products which we sell in about 25,000 general trade and modern trade outlets. obviously, we cover the entire gamut of the online world where quick commerce, online marketplaces, as well as the direct-to-consumer channel plays an important part. We started as a direct-to-consumer, digitally native brand. We have a very digital DNA, a very customer-first, data-first approach to building products and doing everything, be it marketing, be it sales. So yeah, so digitally native, but obviously we have to be where our customers are. So we have to be everywhere where our customers are.
Lovely. Siddhant,
So hi guys.
just keep the mic a little.
Hello. Yeah. Hi everyone. So I'm Siddhant Keshwani. I'm founder of Libas. Libas is essentially a Indian wear fast fashion brand for women, and our basic distribution happens. We were a digital first brand, so we started off with e-commerce, D2C, then moved on to offline retail, and now of course scaling up quick commerce as well, because that's the hot topic of the town these days. And yeah, I mean that's us.
Lovely. Apeksha?
Hi, I'm Apeksha. I'm the CEO of John Jacobs. John Jacobs is a upwards of 1,000 crore eyewear brand. We originally also started online as part of the Lenskart ecosystem, but today we do have distribution across 2,000 owned stores across Lenskart, not only in India, but also the Middle East and Southeast Asia. We're also present across all of the key marketplaces, both in fashion and, Amazon and such, and also have our own stores and online. So multi-touch points everywhere where Lenskart is, and also our own channels. Thank you.
Lovely. Arpita? Yes, of course. How are you helping brands do what they do?
Well, I think you would have heard from Ajay and Abhishek right before me. So we have been in business. We've been part of the Indian supply chain and have been serving India and Indians all over the world for last 35 years. And we take pride in what we do. We take pride in the fact that we help businesses grow. So our job is to ensure that all our customers keep growing, and how can we enable that to happen. So that's who we are. And here, we're very, very happy to be here and seeing these lovely people and the panel that I have with me. I would really look forward to our conversations and how DTDC can enable businesses in whatever you have envisioned for yourself.
Lovely. Sameer will give you the final word as far as introductory remarks are concerned.
My name is Sameer, and I'm a founder and CEO for Deodap. The unique thing of Deodap is that we sell anything, technically anything, which can be sold online legally. So our price point is something we are very focused, because our core market is Bharat. We do not target Indian market much. So when I say India and Bharat, to make it clear the terminologically, Bharat is a market where it's a price first. And we strongly believe that to serve Bharat market, price has to be the thing. And we have around 6,000 SKUs, which we sell very fast. And our network is through, we sell it through D2C, marketplace, then we have our offline stores, and we have a drop shipping thing. So people resell our products, and that's how we do everything at Deodap.
Okay, lovely. Looking forward to this conversation. Siddhant, I'd like to kickstart things with you. This is something that you said while introducing the brand as well. Libas initially started as an online first brand and then forayed into offline as well. I wanted to understand what created that shift, or what prompted that shift.
So I think over the years, once we started digitally, of course, we were scaling really fast, and I think that time the word was that online is here to take over the offline business, and online commerce is going to be the only commerce over the next few years, right? And as years progressed, all of us have seen that that's clearly not the case, where, there are online is one platform or a channel, offline is another, now quick commerce is another. So I think what we've learned over the years is that all channels are here to exist, and people, the same consumer, like earlier they used to say online consumer is different, offline consumer is different, but now we all know that that's not the case. The same consumer is actually reaching brands or using brands or consuming brands across multiple touch points and multiple platforms, and today in such a competitive environment, if a brand like us is not available across all those 3-4 channels that are available to us, people are going to forget us, right? So today for a consumer to be loyal to us, I have to be there at a mall where my consumer is going to. Similarly, I have to be there at a quick com app that my consumer is using. And that's how my recall will be there, because we are in a competitive category, right? Our category is really competitive, and it's brutal because every new mall, every new city has a store that a family used to go to, and everybody, like I'm sure all of us here have that one store that our parents used to take us to, or our family used to go to shop for clothing, etc. But all that is changing now with the branded culture coming into our country very rapidly. So hence we realize there's a huge potential that we're missing out on, and yeah, I mean that's kind of made us move to online and then offline and now quick com as well.
So in Gen Z language, it was FOMO, it was the fear of missing out. Okay, but Bharat, you have something similar as well, right? A brand, D2C brand, primarily online, but now integrating online and offline. Same question to you, what prompted the need? What was this lag that you identified? Or what was the need that you thought, okay, this is the time for us to integrate both?
So, the markets are very dynamic, so the product market fit is where I think a brand really germinates or starts, and it could be anywhere. It could be in a modern trade outlet. It could be on quick commerce today. It could be, in the 2017, 19, 18 era. It could be the Amazons and Flipkarts of the world. So my point is that when you start somewhere, you have to find that product market fit as a brand owner. Once you get that fit, you have aspirations to grow, because as a brand, the biggest joy that one gets is by having more consumers use the brand. Mostly, you're the right consumers for you. And as those channels expand, you have to go beyond product market fit to product market channel fit, and every channel behaves differently, especially for FMCG. A tier 2 customer who's buying essentials on a monthly basis will think differently than somebody who's buying it on a daily basis, so on and so forth. Customer in South Bombay or Gurgaon would think very differently about buying coffee, groceries, so on and so forth. So I think in a 7 to 10 year journey of a brand should be able to move beyond their channels of comfort, the channels that they start on, that channels that they really understand. And if you look at the journey of any brand that has made it big in India in the last 20, 25 years, they were very focused on one channel. They cracked it in the first couple of years, built that brand loyalty, got to a certain level of critical mass of customers, then went on to other channels, and then there was a sort of a J curve or a hockey stick growth that they saw across channels, which is omni-channel. So that's how we have done, and it's also not something that comes to you and you are thinking as a promoter that you want to do it. It's also the customers. Yeah. Your customers will move if they don't find you in their channels of comfort. So if somebody is buying grocery in COVID online, sure, and the customer is actually moving to other channels, and if you're not there, the loyalty will shift. So, yeah, so it's also a lot of fear that one has when they think about channels.
Yeah, this is exactly the point I think Siddhant was also making, that if I'm not seen at a mall, so on and so forth, they will not have that sense of recollectability. They will not want to come back to it possibly. But Apeksha, I want to come to you to try and understand something that Bharat very beautifully put. He said that if you looked at some of the brands, say 10 years, 20 years ago, they did one thing and they did one thing right, and then decided to shift gears, right? But today, a lot of brands also again have that fear of missing out, who would want to shift much faster, much quicker as far as their scalability pyramid is concerned. If you look at John Jacob, you've integrated very seamlessly online and offline. But I want to understand first from you, are you seeing some of maybe the newer brands or much smaller brands trying to jump ship much quicker than what they should be to try and be more omnipresent and to have this omni-channel presence?
Great question. I think if I look at like 8 or 9 years ago, which is when John Jacobs sort of came into play, D2C in general was placed as a challenger industry, right? We were trying to beat the oligarchic structures. Either it could be FMCG, beauty, fashion. It was quite concentrated, and D2C was offering a great product, a great experience at a reduced price point, cutting the middleman. That was really the story behind it. If I look at brands of the time, so today a large part of the ecosystem is very fungible. Anybody can find a supply chain very quickly. They can quickly find, partnerships across logistics. There's a lot of that sort of happening. So in that first wave, for us, it was really getting on to, if you're a challenger brand, the biggest challenges for us were building trust. So we started online, but we figured that if we had to grow and be a true challenger, we had to bridge trust. So that's when, honestly, we forayed into offline, because we wanted customers to touch and feel the product, get a sense of confidence that if you don't get the fit right, or if our attributions of quality are true, if you wanted to start there. Now today, there is actually no real moat for many brands, right? So distribution then sort of plays the role of a moat, because now you have the product, price, getting to product market fit is quite easy. Correct. So then it really is playing at scale, meeting your customers where they already are, and then seamlessly managing, challenges of how do I get a singular view of inventory, how do I make sure my marketing mix is great across platforms. So yes, definitely for speed. I don't know whether brands need to be faster. I do expect there will be some level of consolidation eventually. Sure. Because there'll be multiple like 20, 30 crore brands. I think the days of what a John Jacobs or Lenskart actually, I would say, or in global parlance, what Casper have been able to do, which is disrupt and gain quick leadership. I think those days are a little bit more challenging today. Multiple 20, 30, 40 crore niche brands, specialists in their category, driving a large amount of loyalty, which is great, I think, for the ecosystem in general.
Yeah. Well put. I agree with everything that you said. Sameer, I want to bring you in the conversation. When you introduced what you do, you said we sell everything that's legally allowed to sell, which also gives you a wide array of brands to play with. And, the customer basket is only increasing with each passing day. But from your perspective, what are some of those strategies that you're putting in place to also help brands make this transition or make this seamless integration far more possible today?
So, when we look at the portfolio, what we sell on DeoDAP, it's more of it's a problem-solving products. So technically, they don't have to be a brand. They can be anything which solves a problem. And when it looks at the omni-channel model, what we are talking about, right? So marketplace business has been always very competitive. The journey of selling on a marketplace doesn't end when you deliver an order. It technically ends 30 days thereafter. So if you look at solving that particular problem, where you will have to first make sure that the order has been placed, so you spend a lot of time on marketing, and then once you get an order, you pack it and you ship it. So now, because of the quick commerce, and probably I learned a new word, rapid commerce today, so all these things come as a different ways to deliver to the buyer. And everything comes with a price.
Sure.
So because we are more focused on a price, we'll always have to make sure that it solves everything at the right price. And how we look at it as, for every different category of the product. If it is a seasonal, we make sure that during a Rakhi or during Diwali or during a Valentine, it gets delivered really on time.
Okay.
But not necessary that every order has to be delivered on a time. That's how we look at it.
Okay, lovely. Arpita, I want to come to you now. Thank you for patiently waiting. But the reason was we wanted to hear from brands to try and understand, one, what are they doing to make this seamless transition? How are they integrating it? Most importantly, why are they doing it, right? Because then the biggest challenges come for you. One, customer delivery, customer satisfaction, timely delivery, also accurate delivery. So help me understand, how are you ensuring that you're streamlining all these parameters as a service logistics provider?
Well, if you have heard what the panelists said, and I'm sure everyone here who is in the D2C brand, and I keep fumbling, the DTDC and the D2C is like so integrated together. I keep fumbling on that. So when brands need different levels of services, it's imperative that a logistic partner has to understand that and be able to cater to it.
True.
So a big big part of what we do is understanding the requirement and therefore quickly be able to build the infrastructure that we have, the engines behind, ensure that that is working faster than what the brands can really sell at. So I think that is something we are doing, and we keep looking at our planning and engineering around it. We try and see that ensuring. So what Abhishek said, I'll just borrow from what he said, that when we are doing our normal e-commerce or the B2B kind of business, we understand the kind of requirements that are coming in the market.
Sure.
And based on that, where quick commerce and rapid commerce are sometimes used synonymously, but I would say there are products which require that kind of a service, but then there are so many others who can do with, the way Sameer said, you don't have to do everything in minutes.
Yeah.
But it's okay to have certain products which can come to you in due time. And another big challenge for consumers, let's understand. Imagine, and I'm sure all of us here go through it. Every single day at different hours of the day, you have a bell ringing. You have on your app, if you have a MyGate or a similar app which is asking for permission, can I come in? So those kind of things, how do we ensure, we can help in reducing that pain point for the consumers. So we work around that.
Right. I think that's very well put. That I think Abhishek was also referring to exactly this, that you would want to scale up, but scale up at what cost? You will have to be sustainable. And I think there is a larger realization, not just with brands, but with customers as well, that yes, there was this fad of getting everything instantly, but I think we're also seeing that somewhere plateau, with maybe customers also being okay with certain longer delivery timelines as far as brand satisfaction is a plus. But Siddharth, I want to come back to you, and essentially I want to understand, when you said that we had to be everywhere because we were not sure whether our customers will remember us or not. So when you made the shift from online to offline, help me understand, was it the same customer that moved to you, or what is this percentage of new customer that you got? And did you work with a different strategy to get customer satisfaction when you made this transition?
So like I said, it's an ecosystem where there'll always be certain shoppers who prefer to shop digitally and they don't like to go out to stores and shop, and vice versa, that some people are not comfortable, buying products and paying for it without actually touching and feeling it. So there are both kinds of consumers. But yes, we still see a 70-75% overlap across platforms where, everywhere we're opening a store, because of a strong digital presence, the whole journey of the first 1 year journey, like normally in the case of retail, people used to say that, it takes at least 1 year, 2 years for a store to kind of come to normalcy or start breaking even. But in our case, actually, because being digital first, wherever we are going, we're finding it extremely easy to kind of acquire, for footfalls to come in, because I think 7 out of 10 people are coming in and saying that we are so happy that finally Libas is in our city. So I think, the idea of kind of, like you said, loyalty or what different things we are doing, we've seen certain trends where, how it's improving loyalty is that today when you're selling digitally, so while it's very convenient, you can do it from home, but for a brand, it's very difficult to kind of emote or, tell your story. We are just a product at the end of the day. No matter how much storytelling we try to do on e-commerce, the physical experience is always going to be more experiential for the consumer. So that is a trend that we've seen, that definitely repeat rates go higher because the confidence in the brand builds. Up till now, they could see Libas as a website where, the only connection was product and a good quality product coming to them and they being happy. That was the only way to kind of retain customer. Here, when you're actually doing storytelling, when you're contacting them, like talking to them, communicating with them real time, the whole experience of a consumer changes. Suddenly, they can now put a picture to a brand. So that's the difference that we felt, and I think that goes for every brand, that whatever products we buy online, and suddenly when we physically experience them in a center where, the environment is all around that product, you kind of tend to relate to the brand much better. So
So the relatability and the touch and feel factor you still feel will still have a lot of customers, whether old or new. Apeksha, I want to understand from you, taking on from what Siddhant is saying, when you integrate two channels or when you move from one to the other, as a brand, do you tweak your marketing strategies as well? And if so, how? What are some of the strategies that you put in place when you make that transition to have a wider customer experience?
Sure. So one of the most interesting facets of, as we got deeper into this whole omni-channel experience piece and built out our digital tools is, I'll give you an example of one of the digital tools. So we have an augmented reality mirror in all of our stores. It's the exact same software we use online. So in the offline experience, we wanted to build the experience of infinite aisles, right? So I may create upwards of 1,000 SKUs. An average store may hold maybe 200, but we still wanted customers to have that entire experience over there. See, now today, I think omnichannel has already been around for a while, so I won't state the obvious. There are some things which are obvious. Customers do expect getting the same price experience. I think price becomes a huge source of friction in online and offline. I agree, it's not a different customer, it's just that how the customer experiences your brand at different touch points. So large part of discovery for us happens on our digital platforms, our online apps and the M sites, and then that customer is coming into the stores. So a data point of interest could be that upwards of 60% of our customers already have a logged in profile. We have some semblance of understanding their browsing behavior, their purchase history. Then they come into our stores, there's a QMS system, which is again using the same phone number, so linking them to the same digital ID. So I already know what is your history, what type of prescription do you like, are you a fashion-based customer, a more classic customer? I can quickly put you into a cohort, and the staff can sort of deal with that. The other piece is we have a singular view of our inventory. So at no point, if something is stocked out on the website, will you have a friction experience over there? So some of the things are for granted. Again, the other pieces that we do have, because of the seamless view of our inventory, is that returns is super easy. The entire click and collect experience is extremely seamless for us. And then the other thing, we overlay some aspects of it. So loyalty programs are driving greater experiences across both places. I think stores will, to my mind, play a more evolved role in the future, which is going to be more like third spaces, experience centers. They may not necessarily play the current highly dense buying, selling experience that we have today. And in our case, and in Lenskart, for example, we are experimenting with a mega store concept. So these are 8 to 10,000 square feet. Not every square footage is filled with product. There are lots of play zones between our augmented reality zones and sun rooms, etc. And lots of modular products for customization experiences. So that's where I think the online to offline can be more fun. It can be more intuitive. And in many cases, we also have customers, they just scan the QR code, put it in their wish list, and then order online. So bunch of those things from a technology integration point of view that we're finding, we have found success in doing. We'll double down on that more and more, build the customization pieces more and more.
Sure. Bharat, I want to come to you, but Siddhant, I just want to get you quickly in, and this is just out of curiosity because Apeksha mentioned as far as return rates are concerned. When you're seamlessly integrating the process for customers, so I just want to ask you, say if a customer buys a product online, are they allowed to return it offline? Is that a strategy that you try and play with also to try and make it as seamless so that you don't lose on that customer?
So absolutely. I think a true omni-channel is actually still a buzzword, but actually true omni-channel is where, your consumer, while shopping online or offline, it should be one seamless experience for them. It's not just returns. I mean, it goes way beyond returns as well. Like, in fact, for example, we are ensuring that anytime, consumer is getting the billing done, your past history, your data, whatever you've shopped online, offline, any questions about your purchases you made earlier online that you want to inquire about offline, we are trying to create that one singular window. A lot of it is done, but again, omnichannel is a process, and we are still like just 1.5, 2 years old into the offline business.
Sure.
But yes, if your question is returns, yes, we do accept returns, except of course marketplaces we cannot. But anything bought from our own website is something that can be returned from stores.
Fair. Bharat, I wanted to come to you again at a point that Apeksha again touched upon, and something that I wanted to understand, which is price factor. How do you determine price based on channels, right? How do you ensure that you don't lose that customer when you're moving channels? Because the expectation of the consumer today is that, where will I get it cheaper? So how do you integrate in that strategy when you're making that shift? And does that actually become a big red flag for brands to maybe tweak their strategies?
So the thing is that FMCG operates very differently than lifestyle and fashion.
Correct.
It's a completely different world. To give you context on this, 5 SKUs bring in 80% of our revenue. We don't have that kind of room to experiment with pricing and SKUs, and, and the launch cycles, the NPD cycles, the entire, compliance around product launches and then distribution and then getting to a critical mass is a very long process. So very, very different thinking on pricing. What we do is for every product that works on the direct-to-consumer platform or the online platform, we try and get that out to some markets, maybe test it out in a couple of modern trade outlets, but we don't do product launches very frequently. So the pricing is essentially based on 2 factors. We have a premium range, and then we have which is a mid-premium segment range, and then there is a mass segment range. There is no room to play there. We have 2 rupee, 3 rupee, 5 rupee, 6 rupee sachets. Yeah. Yes, what works maybe in Baroda, doesn't work in Kochi, clearly. So some of those SKUs have to be tailor-made for that flavor, has to be tailor-made for that palate, for that consumer, knowing what we know about that consumer from our journey. So we play a lot with pack sizes, and on the premium segment, we have just one price. And our business is very much to do with the entire trade. We sell, everything that we sell is through the trade today. So you have to maintain price parity. I mean, that's, for us, it's one of the cornerstones of our business and any other scaled FMCG business, I would say. So we don't play a lot with pricing. We maybe do some discounting, just depending on the platform, and we play with secondary discounts a little bit here and there. But no, we have to make sure if we are scaling a SKU on a channel, then we have to go with it completely with a lot of confidence and ensure that it reaches to the audience, no matter where they buy it from.
Okay, lovely. Arpita, I have 2 questions that I want to ask from you. One, of course, every brand is speaking about what next for them, where are they headed when they're scaling up. When they're scaling up, of course, one of the issues is where is the inventory going to be stored, where is it going to come from. This is something that we touched upon in the last fireside also, but outsourcing of warehouses and logistics is also becoming extremely crucial when brands are making this transition. So I want to understand, is that a pattern that you're seeing with brands? Also, how are you helping brands going forward as far as outsourcing of warehouses or logistics is concerned?
Yeah, very much, very much. In fact, if I look at the fashion and apparel industry per se, like Siddhant said, that I had to ensure that I'm available at a mall nearby, so that my consumers can come, touch, and feel and see. Now, with that growing for certain industries and certain products, that is a necessity. But having said that, now how many more stores are you going to do? How much of inventory are you going to keep? And let's say the store you've acquired does not have the amount of space that you need, depending on the season, depending on the the holiday season, and how the demand comes in. How do you ensure you're doing that? So in that, what we are doing is, we are right now, in fact, I'll not share the name, but right now we are working out with one of the malls and the businesses in that mall in Mumbai, where they are outsourcing their inventory to us so that we can keep it near the mall, so they don't have to put their capital into acquiring more spaces. But that is something that we are having, which we can easily, and you don't have to wait for so long. Your customer doesn't have to wait. You don't have to tell them, ye 5 din baad aa jayega. You don't have to do that. It is available because of our dark stores that are available and the kind of network that we have. It is a possibility, and we are seeing it happen right now.
Okay. The other aspect, of course, is when you have this integration, Arpita, of both online and offline. As I said this earlier, it's not just for the brands to try and reach a wider market, to have better penetration. The other aspect is also to make it a better experience for the customer as well. Again, that's where players like you come in. So when you see this integration of online and offline, how are you making it a far more seamless experience for customers as well?
See, for us, our customers are the brands, right? So wherever the brand is, that is where we have to ensure that we are there, we are supporting that. Now, in this online, offline, omni-channel modes of businesses that they are in, we are bringing in technology so that the kind of experiences that these customers can have, it can be seamless for them. They don't have to worry about inquiring what happened to my parcel. Rather, how can I ensure more proactive notifications, information can be passed on, the customer portals that we have for them, that ensures that the entire life cycle of their shipments, it's all available there. They can, it's just a click away. For enterprise customers and even for smaller D2C brands also. True. We have an array of technology-led solutions. Let's say, we have very, very simple, seamless integrations available for them. We have our app, which is the My DTDC app, where you from shipping to shopping to tracking, everything is available, and it comes powered with Gen AI conversational bots. So you don't have to wait for someone to come and respond to you. Yeah. It's available there 24/7. So we are trying to do our bit in ensuring that our customers and their consumers have the best experience.
Lovely. I will talk about tech in just a bit, but Sameera, I want to quickly get you in also. When we speak about integration, we also speak about maybe realigning how supply management also works, right? So I want to understand how real is that concern, or how do you work around the thought process around supply management as well?
So for us, because we sell on marketplace, we sell directly to the customers, we have our offline stores. For us, logistic and supply chain is a very, very big issue. If you don't solve it, we technically, because even our products are very seasonal. So if you fail to do it on time, we lose that buyer. In fact, we have an inventory for 1 year. So tech is definitely one thing.
Sure.
Second thing, what we have realized is that there are two types of buyer in India. One is typically the metro buyer, where for them, speed is everything. They are ready to pay anything for a speed. The other buyer is a Bharat buyer, typically where we focused on. So for a Bharat buyer, they're ready to wait. At the same time, they're very particular about how their delivery should happen, because there were very few partners over there. So I'll tell you, let's say there is a small village, tier 3, tier 4 cities. There were very few partners who deliver over there. So they're very specific. In that case, DTDC is one of the best choice they always have. We usually get this message, mera parcel DTDC ke saath bhejna. So that's how we have partnered with them for a very long. Because so what happens over there is, when you're looking for a Bharat market, the options are very less. There are very few partners who are delivering, logistic partners delivering over there. And we also have to make sure our physical stores are again in a Bharat.
Sure.
So technically, we do not have any physical store in Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad. One of the biggest store is literally in Shela, which is near Ahmedabad. One of the stores is in Upleta. I mean, probably very few folks would have heard that name. But they do really good revenue over there. So for us, to refill them on time, the logistic and supply chain is a very important part. True. And probably we have done it very well because we have mapped a pin code and we have understood what the TAT is for that particular way. And we are able to do it, luckily because of the good logistic partner what we have. And the best part is the feedback.
Okay.
So every time, when we look at the metro part, there are so many seasons where we have seen that the network gets jammed.
Yeah.
So you do not you're not able to deliver. Probably you know it very well, right? Your Diwali time and all, network jam ho jata hai. So you are not able to deliver at that time. So you will have to be very much updated that which pin code is going to be jammed.
Sure.
So Hyderabad pin code, which we typically see, it's always over.
So it's a sense of anticipation and forecasting that data.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Correct. Okay. Before I start winding up, because Apeksha said that future of stores is here, offline stores is here. Siddharth, I quickly want to ask you this before I start taking final comments from everyone. Recently we had a case of a very famous store shutting shop because of high infrastructure costs, so on and so forth. So there was this whole debate of whether offline stores are here to stay or not, and whether businesses will now move to online. Is that a real concern for brands like you that were online first and have moved to offline?
So I think it completely depends from business to business and product to product. If you have the right product market fit, and if the unit economics of a store work for your business, which you technically should be able to find out after the first 5-6 stores, right? It's fairly easy to understand, and that's what we did. We actually, the first 10 stores I opened was just to experiment because I had no idea about the offline business. I also had a similar thought that probably offline is going down and the expenses are going to overtake the sales that we do. So I actually opened the first 10 stores across different geographies, different sizes, different malls, high streets. I tried everything. Like I had a store from 400 square feet to 5,000 square feet, and I had like 7-8 different sizes to understand where my unit economics are sitting correctly. So like I said, it depends on your product, but you should try experiment with the first 4-5 stores. You should try a few things, and if it's working out, you should scale up. If it's not, then of course e-commerce can be the only way to scale. Yes.
Perfect. So as I begin winding up, I'm going to go across the panel now, and we'll have very quick insights or maybe an advice to a brand that is making this transition from online to offline and wanting to look at this integration. So Bharat, we'll start with you. What is that one piece of advice that you would want to give to a brand?
No, I think as Siddhant mentioned, I think one has to do pilots. Online is more agile for anyone because you can set up it, at a lower cost per se. So offline is, I would say even online, for online one needs to do more pilots, figure out their product market fit there. And on the offline channels, be it your EBO, MBOs, be it even retail, if you make a couple of bad decisions, it can really backfire really badly. So before putting in your capital or anyone's capital in the offline business, do those pilots and have patience. I think offline दुकानदारी का धंधा है, बनेगा तमीज से बनेगा, बहुत अच्छा बनेगा, 10 साल दोगे तो बहुत बढ़िया बनेगा. लेकिन अगर आप उसको online वाला if you start trying to push the offline business like a lot of the online mentality that promoters have, then I'm not too sure if it will be sustainable. So that's what I've learned.
Okay. Siddhant, quick advice?
So I think our mantra, I think our business is built on speed because we are a fast fashion brand, right? So there's a huge responsibility on spotting trends fast, getting it to market fast, getting it produced fast, bring it, and now delivering as well fast, right? So we are built on speed. However, we fear a lot. So we always do small, experiment, and then scale up. So I think be quick, be agile, but always be safe in terms of the bets that you take. So that's how we do it.
Lovely. Apeksha?
I think so you get the product market fit right, think of offline, but do a product market channel fit first. Typically, don't go after, just to your previous one, right? Maybe not go after the more glamorous locations, pick smaller sizes, look at a rent to revenue ratio of 10 to 15%. That gets you in good stead to be able to expand, find your community and open stores in those sort of spaces. So community building first, experiment, cut your losses quickly if you fail.
Okay, Arpita?
I would say I would kind of build on what Apeksha said. The aspirational factor of tier 2, tier 3 kind of places is something where you should experiment. And in order to do that, and I'll be a little selfish here and say that, the kind of network that we have around 16,500 customer access points across the country. So, and here we talk about these tier 2, tier 3, where there is no stagnation yet happening. And use our stores, those dark stores, use that for showcasing your products which are available in the neighborhood of people where your catchment areas are. It's right there. They are the neighborhood, stores where people walk in every time. You have a lot of footfall there. So try those out, experiment there, fail fast, come back, try something new. That is something I would say.
Lovely. Sameer will give you the final word.
So offline is more of like, are you sure you'll be able to bring the customer to your store? If you're very confident, then you should step into the offline. Probably every panel would agree to that. And the second thing is offline, you cannot put a lot of inventory over there, and you cannot put under inventory over there. So if you're able to solve it through tech or through proper logistic, then these are the two primary things what we look at.
Lovely. Unfortunately, panelists, I will have to wrap. That's my cue. But this has been an absolutely riveting conversation. Thank you for being extremely candid, truthful, and also doling out that advice for brands who could be in the same position as yours. So I'll request a huge round of applause to the lovely speakers, not just for their time, but for their insights as well. Thank you so much. I think we can have a louder round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I think that was absolutely riveting because it's not often that you get to hear such honest, conversations with brand owners and founders. But let's now move on and let's keep the conversations going as part of this evening for us. Those who want to thrive in the dynamic D2C landscape must also go beyond the cart, and they must reimagine the entire consumer retail journey. And that's exactly something that our speakers participating in the next fireside conversation will in fact be speaking about, where our theme is Beyond the Cart, Reinventing Retail in the D2C Era. And that's something that we'll be delving a little deeper in. But before I invite our lovely speakers, join me in also welcoming our lovely moderator for this conversation, Neha Bothra, Associate Editor at Forbes India, who in fact will be steering this conversation for us. Neha, good to have you with us. Also join me now welcoming with a huge round of applause our lovely speakers. Velo Roy, MD, Kolkata Ventures, will be joining us on this conversation. Good to have you with us. Let's have a little louder round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. That's more like it. Thank you so much. Join me in also welcoming Jitendra Sharma, founder and CEO at Hair Originals, who in fact will be a part of this conversation as well. Good to have you with us, gentlemen. Neha, the floor is all yours.
Thank you for that. So the audience has been rather quiet, I notice. Let me ask a couple of you to raise your hands as volunteers. I have a couple of questions for you. No volunteers? One or two hands can go up, come on. Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. So I have my first volunteer here. Tell me a bit about what kind of a shopper are you? We are talking about reinventing retail. Tell us about what are your shopping preferences. I want to understand a bit about consumer behavior and what kind of a consumer are you? A mic is just coming to you. Here it is. If you can stand and introduce yourself and...
Okay, my name is Anchal Bali. I'm the founder of Adiva.
Right.
We manufacture wellness products, most of them based on Ayurveda. I have a very small team. I employ about 20 rural women who make these products. We have been exporting in a small way to countries like US, Canada, and we're starting with Dubai. So to answer your question, it depends upon what product I'm shopping for. My customers, based on the product that they have used, don't mind waiting for the products.
I don't want to know about your consumers. I want to know about you.
Me
What
as a
kind
buyer,
of a shopper are you?
If I know what I want to buy, I don't mind waiting. But there, we have been spoiled by the options of quick commerce. So now everything is available in 10 minutes. So obviously, if you're looking for something immediately, I would not even care about whether it's coming from a quick commerce or what platform. But yes, for things that you really cherish and you want to spend time in probably figuring out if it's the best thing for you, you don't mind waiting. But yes, faster the better.
Faster the better. Any other volunteer, please? All right. Yes, sir. A mic will come to you. Here.
Hi, my name is Puneet Jolly, and I just 5 months back we launched a new startup into making sustainable handbags, which are also very fashion forward.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, but my question was, what kind of a consumer are you, and what are your shopping patterns?
So I'm not much of an online shopper.
All right.
I can buy tech, etc., online, where I can compare the features, etc. But when it comes to clothing or fashion, I would rather go physical online offline store than online. I want to feel the product.
So the reason I wanted to reach out to the audience before coming to you is because the consumer is absolutely integral in this conversation, right? If we are talking about reinventing retail in the D2C era, I think it becomes very important to understand what the consumer out there wants. And clearly, offline is one shopping pattern which seems to be a very important part of the equation, as much as what we heard the lady say, that quick commerce is also as important. So tell me a bit, Avilo, I'll come to you first. If I'm not mistaken, 550 revenue-generating startups have been guided by you and mentored by you.
From Kolkata Ventures, yes.
From Kolkata Ventures, yes. So tell me a bit about when you interact with them, what do you pick up from them? Because online is very different from offline. So as they make the journey of transition from online D2C players to actually making a mark in the offline space where there are already so many established players, what are some common glitches that they encounter and how do they address these challenges?
These are very basic problems that we see our startups facing, which is lack of network. They know very well how to use digital marketing, but when it comes to retailers, when it comes to talking to a purchase officer, when it comes to connecting even, right, getting into quick commerce, it's a black box. And a lot of times, the retailers don't respond, the distributors don't respond because you're a startup. They don't know if you can scale up, right? And to build that trust, to make sure they give you a chance, right? It takes a lot of effort, and that's why we come in as Kolkata Ventures. We have our set of investors, we have industry leaders, and we say, we trust this brand, we are funding them, we will make sure they scale up, kindly give them a chance, right? It's as basic as that. Then comes the digital marketing part. Again, that's the easy part. When you go into offline retail, then there is offline marketing that is required, in-store marketing that is required. Again, nobody teaches you that, right? Unless you have done an MBA specialized in that direction. So it's a lot of unknowns that these startups go through, that companies go through, transitioning. And there's obviously a lot of failure, a lot of mistakes if there is no support. And that's where we come in, where we support them, help them through. And it's a lot of friends of friends, I personally have a strong LinkedIn profile. So if I just put something out there, I know somebody I know who knows somebody who will connect you to someone. And that's where the network effect comes in, especially in East India, where we are not the Gurgaon, we are not the Bangalore and the Mumbai. We have a little more hardship in terms of getting in on board on a quick commerce or in a physical retail store.
That's interesting. Jitendra, you are in a very interesting area, one area which requires a lot of touch and feel, as someone just mentioned. How do you educate your potential consumers? How do you do that?
So, for example, a category like ours, which is, let's say, a human hair extensions category. So basically a category which is in the creation phase and which is also kind of high average order value also. So one thing that is very, very important is that touch and feel that a consumer needs. And that is where, the need for offline or the retail definitely comes into picture. So in our case, for example, in our journey, how we started was, we started doing first the video consultations from our websites and like with experts. But the common question that keeps coming, or even on DMs, is like, where can I try your products?
Indeed.
So obviously, more than us, the consumers started telling us that offline is the strategy for us. Just to give you an example, our online average order value is 1,800 rupees and our offline average order value is 5 times of that. So I think offline versus online, it also is very much dependent on the type of product and also on the average order value of a product. For example, I would not mind buying a 20 rupees or a 100 rupees thing maybe from quick commerce. But if it is 2,000, 3,000 rupees or even more, obviously a offline channel becomes a priority for many people out there.
So if I got it right, your offline average sales is 1,800 into 5 times what you said is
Roughly
online.
10,000 rupees per...
Roughly 10,000.
Yes.
So why do you want to be a D2C player? You may as well focus on building your retail footprint and being an offline player.
So I think, one thing that I always feel and say, when we say D2C, it simply means direct to consumer. It doesn't say only online. So definitely, for example, like a category like, let's say, ours, offline is definitely a very important aspect. But having said that, the discovery always happens, or more often happens on online channels or social medias. And then from there, maybe the conversions would happen also on the offline channels is what is there. One very good example, and since I keep talking to Piyush a lot and he guides me from Lenskart, we all, when think of online first brands, we think of Lenskart also, who has changed the market. But today, if we look at their revenues, 80% of their revenues are coming from their retail stores. So that gives us a good idea of how important offline or overall a strategy becomes in this case. So I think that's how we at least look at it.
That's interesting. Avilo, coming to you. Now, everyone is talking about generative AI. Every business wants to adopt generative AI. It's the buzzword. Everyone's talking about AR and VR. So tell us a bit about how you integrate all of this and pull consumers.
Till now, it used to be the bigger brands who could afford Amitabh Bachchan or a Virat Kohli or whoever else. One of the things is now these celebrities are actually allowing you, licensing you to create their own Gen AI, and you can use their endorsement at a fraction of a cost, right? Personally, Saurav Ganguly is on our board, so we have approached him also for the same. So that's one aspect. Then when it comes to pictures and modeling and just digital marketing, the visual effect that you can do with Gen AI, mind-blowing. You don't have to spend on a photo shoot. You can just, in 5 seconds, you're able to create something that is absolutely stunning, and it gets your attention, it stops you from scrolling, and you put it on a billboard, and people recognize you, they see something beautiful, and voila, you have it, right? From the text to everything, the call to action. Gen AI has been a blessing when it comes to marketing. Now, when it comes to VR and AR, it's not for everyone. And often it's a buzzword. Especially as an investor, I hear pitches where they're always using VR AR is not for, like Raymond's. They failed with their magic mirror, right? So what to speak of smaller brands? So it does work for Lenskart. It does work for a lot of companies, but it doesn't work for everyone. IKEA does it, very well with augmented reality. I'll give you a story. One of our companies, they sell tiles and bathroom ware. So what they did was, rather than building multiple stores, they created multiple trucks, just like you have food trucks, right? And you get into the truck, you wear your little goggles, and you're able to visualize your bathroom, you know, visualize your sitting room, and what tiles, what color, whatever you want it to be. And that's basically it. Rather than having stores, they're having these trucks going around the city where you can go in, visualize, order your product, and get it in, and tell your architect to build exactly like that. So there are certain segments where it can be a game changer. It can save a lot of money, but it's not for everyone. But when it comes to Gen AI, boy, oh boy, it's absolutely a blessing for zero budget marketing.
Very nice. So Jitendra, you spoke about how important it is to blend online strategies and offline strategies to address your consumer needs. Tell us a bit about some feedback you get from consumers and how you incorporate that in your strategies online and offline.
So, as I always say, your biggest investors are your customers because they are investing and buying the product from you.
Course,
And that is so any feedback that comes from a customer I think is paramount. Basically, for us, especially when we are selling a high average order value item, it becomes even more important that we take the customer feedbacks very, very seriously. So what happens is, they can, it's simply for us, how we take about it, a feedback can be, obviously, if it is about anything related to product or experience, that is something we take very, very seriously. But is also how I feel is, even the marketing that you do, marketing is, in my feeling, is basically communicating to the customer the questions that they have in their mind or the curiosity that they have in mind to address it. So even those feedbacks can be also used to build up further your better marketing strategies. And anyways, on the product and overall strategy, that is the most important building block which eventually makes or breaks a brand.
Indeed. Avilo, we saw a lot of community building initiatives, particularly during the time of the pandemic. There were Facebook communities and there were a lot of WhatsApp groups that came up. And that proved to be a blessing for D2C brands, in terms of advertising and reaching out to the target consumer. How do you think that can be used to strengthen a D2C brand in its journey from online to offline?
Oh boy, it's so important. And for a startup, that's all we have. Honestly, when you're a new company, Indians in general, we don't have any brand loyalty unless it's Apple or Samsung and some big brands out there, Amazon perhaps. But when it comes to small businesses, there is no brand loyalty. 5 rupees more and you lose a customer. So in that situation, what do? You build a brand around a cause. And somebody who started that was Patanjali, right? Ramdev with yoga and Indian nationalism and all that. I'll give an example of a small Christian community called the Mormons in the US. They're the tiniest Christian segment. And they have a yearly budget of $60 billion. You know how? They create businesses that are from the community, and they tell their congregation, you're going to buy only these products to support our businesses. So Mormons drink Dr. Pepper, not Coca-Cola and Pepsi. And they have many such products that the community actually consumes, and 10% of that money goes to the church, right? Thereby, $60 billion of money that they have. Now, coming to India, we have Jito for Jains. We have the Marwaris, we have the Punjabis. Everywhere you see there are ethnic classes. Now, as a Bengali, we didn't have that before. During the pandemic, we created the Bengal Business Council. And I'm so proud to say, we instilled this idea of buy Bengali-run business products. And we've done 800 crores worth of business for small and medium-sized businesses just by instilling that cause, right? And there is things with faith-related, Vedic products and Islamic products and Jewish products. So we as startups, we should not be shy and get about like, oh, what will people say? We are supposed to be secular. We are supposed to be this and that. If something works for you, it creates a niche for you. It creates a sense of belonging. Dog lovers group, for God's sake. We love dogs. Then go ahead. Create that niche. Be an influencer in that niche. And have the cause and effect where people buy your product because they believe in your process. They believe in what you believe, right? That's the way we survive. So even if it is 5 rupees more, they won't leave you because they believe in your cause. And I feel that is absolutely essential for all of us to find our niche and build around that niche so that people stay with us for whatever we're building till you become a brand.
So finding your niche is important. Jitendra, coming to you. Authenticity is so important as you look to build a niche, right? You need to have the credibility. And of course, as you grow, you can't compromise on quality. You can't compromise on that very important building block. How do you do that when you are trying to rapidly grow and diversify in different areas to reach your consumer?
So I think, especially for a product company, the biggest authenticity that can come is definitely from how the consumer has experienced or has felt after using your product. And that becomes the biggest, I would say, driver of authenticity. I think one thing which works the most, and maybe I'm a bit traditional in a lot of ways in my life, but, word of mouth is something which still has the biggest power. So if you have a very authentic and a very high quality product, I think that is the first most important part. Secondly, how do you keep building that one or two, strong communication around only why you are so authentic or what different you are doing? If you keep building and hammering on the same communication to the consumers rather than confusing them with too many communications is another thing that I feel helps in the authenticity of the brand.
So, Avilo, when you guide your portfolio companies as an investor, how do you tell them to look at ROI? Because I understand that as they come to offline, you can't look at it in the conventional way, right? There has to be a different flavor to it because the metrics are so different from how you do it online. What is your experience? What advice do you give them? And generally, what happens when they make that transition?
As an investor, I'm a long-term investor, whether it's stock market, whether it's real estate, whether it's startups. And with startups, it's no different. I tell them, look, when you are going offline, probably you won't be able to get into a big box store. Why not try it out with a pop-up store in a shopping mall? See if you can at least be break-even. Fantastic if you're break-even. If you're profitable, congratulations. If you're making losses, make sure you can afford it, right?
Afford losses?
because it's an investment.
You're happy to fund the losses?
Because it's an investment in your education. Like I said, I'm a long-term investor. Because if they get educated and make a few silly mistakes, perhaps when they kind of grow from there, they will not repeat those mistakes. And that's what I look for in a startup. The entrepreneur is dynamic, can learn, is humble enough to grow, right? If they make mistakes, they will not repeat. And then you have a solid, knowledge base with which you can grow. And that's what I look for. So it's okay to kind of screw up, but build a traction, learn what works, what doesn't work, how it is different from online to offline. And then with that credential, you go to a big box store. And you say, look, on my own, in my pop-up store, that's what I did. If you allow me the opportunity, I can do 10 times more with your help. Will you help me? And I think that's a much stronger pitch than, like I'm nobody, I'm nothing, I've done some online sales, please let me in.
In general, what works and what doesn't?
It's all about the network, It's all about who you know. For example, if I make a phone call and say, please give this guy a chance, probably in 10 minutes that person will meet with them, and if they're good enough, they'll get in. And if not, no matter how much they try, they won't. Now, having said that, numbers do matter. When you show that, look, I have done this through a food truck, I have done this through a pop-up store or whatever, and here is the numbers, here is what the traction looks like. These are the kinds of people. I understand the market. I can market it right. That shows credibility, and that works. When you're talking to the person who is purchasing, they are trained to know what will sell, what will not sell. They want to hear from you, do you know what I know? If you can prove it to them, I know what you know and more for my product. That is very powerful, and that enables them to say, let me take a chance. 2 of my stores, you try it out. If it goes well, 10 stores more. If it goes well, more stores are coming, right? But either you have a good network, or you are very good with what you know, with facts and figures backing it up.
That's interesting. Jitendra, increasingly as you try and focus on the offline space for your consumers, tell me a bit about what do you want to do differently to resonate with your target consumer base in terms of new experiences that you would want to offer them when they walk into one of your offline stores to buy one of your hair extensions?
So in our case, for having a store for hair extensions in itself a new experience for the consumers in India, as it is like a very, very new thing. I mean, just to give you an idea, if we talk about United States, I think in every 5-kilometer radius, you would have one store where you would have hair extensions. In India, I think in total you might have 20 in the country. So one experience that is again very important in our case is because it's a very emotional product first. Hair is very, very emotional to everyone, or very particular, people are very particular about it. And a lot of aspirations are embedded around it. So what we really want to bring the experience and we have been trying to do is to offer, like we give you free styling, free, let's say, new styles to build up upon. See, one thing, for example, we all would say there are a lot of options for the face, but there are no makeup options for hair. So basically to promote and let people try first. So we always openly say that try before you buy. So we want people to try out those new styles, get familiarized, feel that yes, this is something which is giving me that desired look which I always wanted. So those are the experiences which we can build up upon. When people can see in the mirror that, look, this is how my complete, let's say, instant gratification happened or the complete transformation happened. I think that those are the kind of experiences that we have built up. We have also done certain new experiences and has worked wonderfully well in our case, and our AOV supports for that, is that we even use our centers as kind of our depots for doing home trials for consumers. So we, let's say in a radius of 10 kilometers and all, if a consumer, because in our case, there is also a category of consumers who are 55 plus, let's say, who are having hair thinning issues. So we do also offer that we come and do a trial with our products, and then why don't you come to our store and try the complete range? And it has been working very well for us. So those are the experiences or new initiatives that we have been doing in our category.
So my last question to both of you before we go to the audience to take any questions they may have. It's a common question. I'd like you to do a little bit of crystal gazing. We are in 2025. Next year, tell me one big thing that is going to be the big change that we see in retail, because we are talking about reinventing retail. 1 year is a long time. Tell me one big trend that I should look forward to next year.
I think, for example, and we have started seeing some of those concepts. I personally feel with the advent of a lot of new age startups into D2C, I kind of see in retail, offline marketplace sort of a model coming up, like wherein imagine for new age D2Cs, it's like a shopper stop sort of a model, which would probably be very, I would say, a win-win situation. We have seen Broadways and some other such concepts coming up. So I think, especially for new age brands who can't spend too much on having EBOs or things like that, but getting that right type of visibility and having that where the costs are being shared also, and it has been, and people can experience the product and buy the product. I personally see that collaborative retail approach would normally be built up further.
You must have heard about the Amazon stores that are there, humanless stores. You can just walk in, you know what to buy, you get out, you're checked out, no touch required. Perhaps not that much, but a little bit of automation is definitely going to come into retail stores. A lot of the data that is coming from the online usage and from the retail, both are going to be used to track a customer through their phone number or whatever. And accordingly, there's going to be a lot of predictive analysis about who you are. I'll give a story if you give me 2 minutes. This happened a few years ago in Target. This is the US big buck store. There was a father who came in, and in his mailbox, there was a bunch of pamphlets for pregnant women, right? And he comes in, puts it on the table and tells his daughter and wife that I don't know why they would give me something about pregnant women. And his daughter is 16 years old. She has tears in her eyes. Turns out she is pregnant. Target knew this before the father did, right? Why? Because they constantly track you. They know your purchasing behavior online and offline. And by the way, if you didn't know, Facebook, phone manufacturers, Google, Amazon, everybody's selling data. It's a $40 trillion industry, what we do with data. This was told to me by one of the biggest phone manufacturers in the world. Before I walked in, they sealed my phone and everything, and they said, look, we don't have to sell the phones, we can give it for free. We sell the data of, if you have a Zomato, there's a Swiggy. If you're banking at HDFC, you also have access. We sell this data to each other, right, to make sure they can help market their products and things better. So in retail, you're going to see this more and more where they know who you are. If you're a vegetarian or a vegan, or you're a Muslim or a Hindu, you're a BJP or a Congress, you're a this or a that, and based on that, the kind of in-store advertising you'll see, the kind of things, the coupons you will get, the kind of the smart, what do you just call this thing you push? The cart, right? The smart carts that you'll have, everything will be automated and customized based on who you are, what you like, and what others don't know about you, but our retail stores would. Reliance is already experimenting on it, and there are a couple other big players who are experimenting on it, so we will see that very, very soon.
We'll see that very, very soon. Coming to you, audience, do we have any questions? A mic will come to you. You can introduce yourself and ask the question. We have a volunteer there.
Hi, my name is Deepak. I represent a company called QBuster, which is a software product company. The question that I have is, in this discussion, we heard that the change that we're expecting in retail is there would be marketplaces in offline mode. Now, the question that I have is, why is it so that if any one of us want to buy anything, any formal or Western dresses for any one of us, we just head to the nearest good mall? Why is it so? And because the mall has made it so attractive that you will have good AC, a lot of, let's say, good gentry in and around, a lot of new other QSR joints for you to enjoy, gaming zone, movie theaters, good places to eat, etc. So it becomes like a congregation of too many things that a human would need, right? And alongside, you can also do shopping, right? Now, when you say that marketplace in offline model, how do you envision what kind of marketplace in offline model can be it? And
so how do you envision a marketplace model in the offline space? Avilo, would you like to take that? We have 2 minutes. A quick response.
Well, first of all, understand that the shopping mall, 66% of the people who go there don't actually buy anything. They probably buy food and they get out. It's mostly teenagers and young adults. Now, coming to your idea about how, I don't know. The answer is, I don't know. But all I can tell you is, it will be data-backed, it will be smart, and how you see AI, what it did in November last year till now, or November 2023 to now, how it has evolved. Expect 10x more of evolution, and we can only imagine what it will be like. I will not speculate, and I don't honestly know what marketplace in a retail form would look like, but it would be customized, it would be very much user-centric.
Indeed, on that note, we'll end the conversation. The panelists are here. You can chat with them offline as well. We are running completely out of time. I have to end it here. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for being such a fabulous audience. Thank you, speakers. It was great having you here.
Thank you to our lovely speakers. Thank you, Neha, but I'll request you to stay on stage with us as we lead you for our next session as well. Ladies and gentlemen, now there is one big buzzword that me and you cannot have a conversation without these days, and that, of course, is the word artificial intelligence. It is reshaping customer experiences like never before. And that's why we're also glad to have a panel of experts that are actually representing true pioneering tech firms here with us this evening to reveal how brands can come together and can harness AI to create a far more personalized journey that will win hearts, but most importantly, win wallets as well. The topic for our next conversation, for our next panel, is harnessing artificial intelligence for personalized customer experiences. We already have our lovely moderator, Neha, continuing to be with us. Join me in welcoming our lovely speakers as well. With a huge round of applause, join me in welcoming Abhinav Khanna, Chief Business Officer at Funnel.ai. Let's have a huge round of applause as we welcome him on stage, please. Good to have you with us. Join me in also welcoming Vivek Shrivastava, Managing Director, Customer Transformation at PwC. Let's have a huge round of applause as we welcome him on stage, please. We can have a louder round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome our lovely speakers. Thank you so much for taking up the time. Neha, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure the audience is looking forward to this conversation, particularly because we've been speaking so much about artificial intelligence, how it's going to be applied, how it's going to transform the entire experience. So on that note, let me come to you first. Tell us a bit about how you are using artificial intelligence to understand consumer behavior, to shape consumer experiences. If you can help us with a few case studies to help us understand what impact you've been able to drive using artificial intelligence, that would be very useful for the audience.
Sure. So first of all, artificial intelligence is a super game changer. It actually, I just stop in terms of amazing it, the kind of capabilities AI today have. Years back, we used Google as a search engine, and consumers used to go on Google and they used to search for a specific product or a need which they used to key in. And then Google used to throw a lot of pages in terms of what all available search options it has come out, right? And consumers actually had to go through all that pain, through all those search pages, and find that particular product and which matches their specific need. So it was a very tedious, and I feel now with AI coming into the picture, and very time-taking exercise. But now with AI, I think it has quite simplified in terms of everything. Everything that today you want to do with AI, it's 1000x. I mean that you would have 1,000 people right now working for you as an AI without even burning your money, paying salaries for them. So it actually crunches layers and layers of data in fraction of seconds, and then gives recommendations as to what specifically you require, and a very baked recommendation which is given to the user for them to execute it. So I think from my perspective, one, AI is a super game changer. It, every minute of my current life, I think it doesn't stop amazing me. I think the way AI will shape how businesses today operate, I think that would be phenomenal, in coming months only. And we see that businesses will adopt AI. And as most of the world leaders, they say that it will be just, 3 people run companies from here on. I think that is what I feel. But I don't think so that it will, the statement that I don't think so it will replace us. It will only help us, augment us to do things much more faster, to crunch layers and layers of data, which we have to put a lot of human force to do it. And then come out with conclusions is when a business owner wants to drive a specific objective, is when their team used to execute that. But that took a lot of time to reach to that objective. So I think, yeah, AI would be a super game changer from my perspective.
AI will be a super game changer. That's the word coming in from Abhinav. Let me bring you into the conversation, Vivek. Now, you interact with a lot of companies. In fact, there is a lot of enthusiasm to also incorporate AI strategies. Tell us about how you can measure the outcomes. Now, while companies want to integrate this in real terms, what's the measurable impact?
Thanks, Neha, for asking the question. I'm sure I'm going to repeat something what Abhinav has already said, but the context today is D2C and how the brands are performing here in India. So let me pick some of the examples of what has happened in India, in our country, and how AI is really helping customer experience get better by the day. So if you look at the entire customer experience and journey, that's gone super amplified over the last decade or so. Product recommendation, while Abhinav was mentioning about it, look at easy categories like fashion, retail, food, to complex category like pharma, like insurance, AI can really hone on to your data, both digital and otherwise. Look at your past behavior and recommend, and also your profile, and recommend products that are really, really personalized for you. So that's a big, big thing, not only in simple categories, but also in complex categories. Customer service, another critical area, where the responses when the queries come are so templatized, and the actionables are so clear, so fast-paced. Look at food platforms, right? Food delivery platforms. The experience people are gaining there, they are trying to have the same experience in other platform experience that they derive, which is so difficult to replicate. So AI is really game-changing there as well. Look at the logistics space, the supply chain and inventory space, right? Demand sensing and real-time making supply efficient, ensuring the stockouts are lower or nil, and also alternate products are recommended, inventories are replenished. That's another area where it has gotten a lot of improvement. Now, in D2C brand, I would be specific to that only, where number of customers, number of users have been always critical. Revenue always has been critical. But today, both investors and media, both are looking at how customer lifetime value is improving, how monthly active users are improving, how NPS scores are improving. So the journey has really, really evolved, and we are in a far better shape compared to where we were 10 years ago.
That's interesting. At Fundle, you do a lot of that. You use a lot of AI-driven strategies to personalize the messaging for consumers. Tell me a bit about what are some challenges you face in this area, considering the Indian context, you know, where there are so many different cultural aspects to take care of, etc. Tell us a bit about some first-hand experiences, challenges you have encountered at Fundle and how you've addressed these.
Sure. So actually, Fundle leverages, AI and, captures data across malls, retailers which are present inside the malls, and also the shoppers which are entering in that asset. Crunches that data real time, and then use those insights to drive, send out very targeted promotions based on the shopper behavior, so that we are able to drive an incremental sale. So now, specifically, that was the journey, but the challenges that we faced during that journey was, one, in terms of, as we understand that India is a very diverse country, having various diverse nature across various regions. And that's where I think AI augments it, because it kind of crunches that data across regions, states, cities, brands, and stores, and layers of data which has where we are capturing transaction of every consumer in terms of what product they are buying, when they are buying, how much they are transacting for. Even the size, color, everything is getting recorded in our platform. And but then the challenge was to communicate with these set of consumers basis on the region preference, is when we are able to use our ad tech engine, which henceforth sends out communication basis on the language preference the user has, which actually I think has helped us a lot in connecting with the user, specifically sending out right message at the right time to right set of consumers with the right vernacular language. So yes, so AI has kind of overcome those challenges.
To take that point forward, coming to you, Vivek, when you interact with many of your customers, clients, etc., tell me a bit about what are some important takeaways you get, and if you can illustrate this very briefly by way of a case study to help us understand what impact many of these personalized AI-driven customer messaging has boiled down to.
So let me pick up a case study for generative AI, and we were helping a bank in Poland who was feeling a need to capture Gen Z and Gen Y as their customer base and into retirement products. Now, Gen Z, Gen Y engaging in retirement product, you would find this very funny, right? How would they really look at this product? Why would they really think of it? They are thinking of early retirement. That's a cue also you can take positively. What they started doing is to use Gen AI to build visuals for how a person would look like what he would or she would possess, how the life is going to be in his 60s or 70s. They augmented that imagery through social media and created a big campaign out of it. Now, this created more than 13 million responses and reach to in a country like Poland, right? In the year, the retirement product sale went up by 3x compared to the last quarter of the same year. And they became the first most prominent retail bank for Gen Z and Gen Y in that country. So that's the power of AI and generative AI, which was being used just in a specific context, just for lead generation, just for interest generation. But it led to a very different outcome of capturing a customer segment who was not interested in the category at all. So probably that's the use case I would want to talk about.
Interesting. Abhinav, while now you're focusing a lot on retail, you've had the experience of fintech when you worked at Paytm as well. Tell us a bit about what are some key lessons you are now using when you are using AI-driven strategies at Fundle to bring about the changes for consumers as you described in your previous responses.
Sure. So at Paytm, we M-Loyal, which is the mobile loyalty platform. We work with multiple brands across various industry segments, whether these are airline loyalty or whether it's a fashion or a food, is where we were able to capture data by integrating with a POS, the e-com website in D2C cases, get hordes and hordes of data into our system, is where we had multiple team members at the back end who used to crunch this data. And then once they are able to crunch it is when they created segmentations or cohorts, is then we were able to retarget those sets of consumers. Now just understand all of this exercise takes too much of effort and it's a very complex exercise to be able to make the, crunch that data and then execute it. And as you know, a lot of retail or a lot of businesses today doesn't even have a digital database also of shoppers which are entering in their business or store outlets. So that's what we did at Paytm. But yes, there is a tangential shift as to how what we are doing right now at Fundle.ai. Because then our job at using AI becomes so much simpler. All the layers and layers of data, which has so much of transaction amounts and the consumer preferences, is crunched within seconds. The only thing that I, as a loyalty manager, wants to define a journey from a brand perspective, that this is the journey that the brand wants to take to make the brand to move from A to B. That journey is where, if I know that journey, I can just key in that particular details in the AI, and AI, it will amaze you, the kind of responses it will get. Maybe first time response, maybe 70% accurate, but AI learns. And it is not learning right now. There were earlier humans who were crunching data. Then there were machines who were learning and crunching data. Then there was a big data. But now AI, I think, is the next revolution, and everything will just be obsolete, where it just crunches the data, whatever you need, however you need, wherever you need, all of that is crunched within fraction of seconds, and then you are able to execute. In fact, today, a major shift, what we used to do as rudimentary exercise at Paytm M-Loyal, and now what we do at Fundle.ai, is that we used to send multiple campaigns on various segments and see that whether this campaign has a great response or maybe a campaign B has a much higher ROI. AI, it actually changes everything. The marketing expense versus the ROI is completely negligible. It actually predicts what kind of campaigns you can actually do to define set of audience, and once you execute it, it actually learns that this is the ROI, that it has reached 70% or 80% ROI, and then you can actually key in that how I can better up that ROI to the AI, and AI will come up with the next, advanced model that if a specific cohort is targeted, you are able to achieve maybe like a 79% ROI. So I think a lot of tangential shift from what I think we managed loyalty for most of my years at Paytm. and that what now from a funnel.ai perspective, we are bringing it to brands and various businesses.
Thanks, Abhinav. You very nicely described how AI changes everything. My last question coming to you, Vivek. Tell me a bit about the fact that as human beings, we crave authenticity. We want authentic, genuine, credible relationships. We want some interactions which are built around that. Can artificial intelligence do that? And how should company balance being focused on AI-driven automation while retaining that exclusive human touch as well?
So, three things come to my mind. I think one is very careful selection of the use case. What are you going after? And how does it really impact the customer experience in moment of truth, especially when the interaction or the encounter is happening? Think of a person walking in a restaurant. I don't want to name anything, but at a restaurant that you walk in, you would want people greeting you with a smile, warmth being offered there when the food is being served. Now, you can think of a use case that you can really automate the full thing, and there are apps that you are going to order the food on. Nobody is there to meet and greet. Could be one use case. Maybe it is over dehumanization. Of course, the travel queries, if somebody is routing through chatbot, is an okay use case to go with, right? Because the queries are usual, answers can be given from anywhere, anybody can ask questions, basis their availability. Second, the assisted AI is extremely critical, especially when the use case is not proven. So human intervention, ensuring human is involved, supervision is happening until the full stabilization of responses has been done. And third, close looping of feedback, because if on-the-ground feedback are not being incorporated in the AI models, the effectiveness of those models will be that much only, right? So these three things, if people take care of, I think the impact would be far better.
So on that note, we'll wrap the discussion. Thank you so much, Abhinav and Vivek. This was a very interesting discussion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Neha, for moderating it so well for us. Thank you once again. Ladies and gentlemen, as we now begin concluding the Forbes India D2C LevelUp Conclave presented by DTDC, we also must remember that we celebrate an evening rich in insight, inspiration, and innovation. Together, you'll all agree with me that we've managed to explore the transformative power of logistics, limitless potential of artificial intelligence, and the seamless integration of online as well as offline retail. The ideas that have been shared today will echo far beyond this room. I'm very, very sure of that. Shaping strategies, refining operations, and redefining the way brands connect with their customers as well. This evening and the conversations, ladies and gentlemen, that lit up the stage were a testament to the vision, the resilience, and creativity of the power that the D2C revolution in the country really has potential for. A big heartfelt thank you to all of our speakers who took out their precious time and were extremely truthful, candid, and honest with their insights, because they have helped us shape the larger wisdom, and the larger team at Forbes as well, who've been working for months together, who've managed to put this event and agenda together. I have to thank our lovely partners and sponsors without whom this evening really wouldn't have been possible. But how can I not thank each one of you, the lovely audience? You've been such a great bunch. So thank you so much for taking out the time, joining us, because it was your presence, your participation that really made this an inspiring evening. Can I have a huge round of applause as we wrap this evening, ladies and gentlemen? Because we want to leave this evening with just one message, and that is, let us carry forward the momentum that we've built and that we've spoken about today. Because I have to leave you by saying this: the future of D2C is extremely bright, and it's our job of how we shape it for the future. So thank you once again for taking out the time and joining us. But do join us now for drinks and dinner. This is your host, Ridhma Bhatnagar, signing off. Thank you once again.